ekam aksharam hribi nirantaram likyate hridaya kuhara madhye kevalam brahmamatram yaham maham niti saksharam atmarupena bhati hृदि vishamanasa चिन्मता मज्जता चलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो देहं मृण्मय जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्यतो नाहं तत्तद्भावशुद्धिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्धा ओहं भावयुक्तो रतिय दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोहं स्तुतितया अरुणाचलम् पूर्णं विभावं स्वयं सोहं स्तुतितया Namo Ramana. Today we commence our meditations on verses 37, 38, 39, 40. Let's make a fresh beginning. As usual, I'll surprise you by going, so it's no more a surprise, by going to a verse in it clarifies the relationship between vichara and the nididhyasana of Buddha. So let us look at Bhagavan's words before we go to the translated verses from the Anma bodham. Bhagavan says in very simple and direct manner in the 36th verse of Ulladinarpadu, நாம் உடலின் ரெண்டின் அல நாம் அது என்றெண்ணுவது நாம் அதுவாய் நிற்பதற்கு நற்றுணையே. That's all I want to take from Bhagavan's word. That is, நாம் உடலின் ரெண்டின் அல நாம் அது என்றெண்ணுவது நாம் அதுவாய் nirpadarku natrunaye. Bhagavan captures the essence of vichara and nididhyasana in the traditional mark. Bhagavan says, only if you identify with the body as I, then the nididhyasana is required. Whereas what is vichara? Vichara is don't even identify with the body. Don't allow the consciousness to rise and hold a form in the first place. Nanudiyad ulla nilai, where the I does not arise, that is where one is the self. Namaduvai ulla nilai. Nam udalan rendil. Only when we rise up and hold a form, the body includes the Panchakoshas, as I, does it make sense to make a nididhyasana? No, I am not this body. I am that Brahman. Whereas in vichara, don't even allow that. Don't even allow the first ignorance to arise. For whom is this? Takes you to the very source of the first ignorance. Whereas nididhyasana assumes that the sadhaka, the disciple, has that identity which is not having the strength to de-identify. Therefore, one is given the nididhyasana verses. Now come to nididhyasana. The nididhyasana verses we saw. Any doubt so far? The connection between vichara and nididhyasana? Vichara is even before the consciousness rises and identifies with the body, it is to be taken back to the source. Whereas in nididhyasana of Atma bodham, the disciple is given the ignorance. Okay, given that you are assuming you are the body, now let it go and meditate on the Atma, meditate on the self, meditate on the Brahman, meditate on the Jnani. That is nididhyasana. So already the ignorance that I am this body is allowed. That the disciple is not having that strength to do vichara about that. Then Bhagavan also says, then if you are not able to inquire like that, then namaduvan renduvadu namaduvai nirpadarku natrudiye. Then the nididhyasana becomes a support for vichara. So nididhyasana is not poo-pooed. It is looked at very carefully now, because whenever we are not able to do the Atma Vicharam, we should be able to hold one of these verses, either from Ulladu Narpadu or from Atma bodham, and do nididhyasana. What is this nididhyasana? When I first attended the sessions of A. Parthasarathi sir from Bombay, he had given some lectures on Atma bodham in 2003, I think. And I had attended them in town hall. It was a series of lectures, and they had given a small compendium or a collection of his lectures on Atma bodham as a booklet. And I had come and copied that. Every day I would write one verse and the commentary related to that. That worked out to a 300-page notebook. Over a period of so many days, each day I would try to cover one verse, write the Sanskrit verse, write its Padacheda and the commentary of Parthasarathi sir. When I used to attend those sessions and read that work, in fact write it down, I used to feel that what is this? The same concepts are repeated again and again in segments. The Upadesha verses and the Nididhyasana verses, except for a few words here or there, they appear to be the same. That you have to get rid of the attachment to the body, which is the Panchakoshas, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Anumaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. One has to get rid of the attachment, the identification with these koshas, and one has to meditate on one's nature as the Parabrahman or the Atman. Now, there is a significant difference between the Upadesha verses and the Nididhyasana verses. What is the significant difference? It is the same difference you will find between Tat Tvam Asi and Aham Brahmasmi. Can anybody tell me the difference between Tat Tvam Asi and Aham Brahmasmi? Okay, I'll take. Yeah, anybody is ready? Yeah. Yes, sir.
I feel Tattvamasi is the revelation of the fact, and Aham Brahmasmi is like a mental reputation or a remembering thing. So it's more of a, I don't know if I put it right.
No, exactly. It is
the advice of the Guru, whereas this is I'm experiencing it and saying I'm Brahmas.
Yeah. I think both are saying the same thing, that the revelation of the truth which is given as a Upadesha, Tat Tvamasi, thou art that, so it is said in the third person. It is addressed to somebody. Whoever reads it, to that person, the Guru is advising. That is the Upadesha verses you will find. Almost same content as the Nididhyasana verses. The Nididhyasana verses, the difference is it is in the first person. Because you have to reiterate to yourself. You have to reiterate that bhavana, that Brahma bhavana to yourself. And we found that verses 31 to 36 had this nature of Viparita bhavana nivarti and Sadbhavana pravritti. Holding the Sadbhavana and Viparita bhavana is to be removed. Remove the wrong idea and hold on to the right idea. What is that? That is the whole story of Nididhyasana. We had seen in the half-broken session last time that the Nididhyasana, which comes in 37th verse, is very close to the Summayira. Of course, it is a parallel only, because the Anya Bhava is there, it can never be the Summayira. But then, all the Viparita Bhavanas, when they are removed, then Aham Brahmasmi or the verses indicating that can be directly held. Because the Viparita Bhavanas are no more arising. What is this Viparita Bhavana Nivarti? We keep doing that all the time. And it's something that we do, that something we have misunderstood, and we correct it for all time to come. Like in our home, we used to have this valuing and being deeply affected by what others think of us, what others hold us as, and around 60-70% of our exchanges at home would be concerned with this, that what would others think, how will others evaluate us, what we will be in others' eyes. Then luckily for us, we landed up with such a problem that no others could come in help. They were not to be blamed or looked down upon or anything. That is simply something they cannot. Let's say something like death. Now, who can come and help some dear one passing away? Who can help? Something like that we were afflicted with, and that was a great good fortune that we realize all these days we have been wasting our time, wasting our energy, and misdirecting our energies into worrying about what others are thinking about us. Of course, There has to be care when you come in contact with others, and there has to be they too have the same right not to be affected by your opinions about them. So that respect is there. They are also free of your opinions of them. But when we realized we were free of the opinions that others hold against us, that it is not a material thing to be worried about, so much energy was saved. That much energy was available to carry out whatever we were doing, let us say. So the Viparita Bhavana, that the what others think of us is such a great thing and has to direct our own life current, changing that and actually living the bhavana is not merely an imagination, but it is a life force which corrects the stream of your life. The very flow of your life is now in a new channel because the earlier bhavana, which was viparita, has been corrected. More interestingly, once we were going on our, my better half and I, we were going on our evening walk. We could have that luxury at that time, I suppose. And our daughter was studying in the hostel in Tiruchi. And that particular day, we felt like calling up when we were on top of a hill. And at that, we remember that where the Viparita Bhavana got corrected for our family. So we called her and we knew that the next day she had a circular test, whatever that means. She had a circular test in her engineering. We just wanted to wish her. And she, by then our relationships had got such clarity that whatever is the fact that would be shared. So she said she is in Main Guard Gate. That is the commercial place. That's about 25-30 kilometers from the house where she used to live. And we just looked at each other for a moment and then wished her well and kept the phone. And before that, she had asked, that my better half had asked, why did you go to the market today? Because circular test is there tomorrow. She mentioned her close friend's name. Mentioned her close friend's name, dearest friend, and she said, because she called, I went. Because she called, I went. Then we both inquired, do we have the luxury to put the blame on others for calling us or enticing us, or should we take the responsibility? The answer came that at each time, only if you take responsibility, you can do something about it. If you feel you have done, I am taking this class because of some compulsion from somebody, that's a very dangerous situation to be in. Only if I have consciously entered into taking this, then I can do something about it. So we worked it out that at no point of time the consciousness within should say, I have done this for you, for our vichara purposes. That was another major trend, and that was introduced to our daughter also, that hereafter, when we inquire about these things, we should take responsibility. I have decided to go, not that other has called. Then there is a clear responsibility for that action on our consciousness, isn't it? So that was a Viparita Bhavana change. But that is in the relative realm. In the absolute realm, the Acharya gives us the Viparita Bhavana Nivritti in the verses 31 through 36. He removed the koshas for us. He removed, I am not the body, I am not the indriyas, then I am not the manas, the dukkha, the excitement. All that is not me, because in deep sleep, the mind is not there, there is no dukkha, but I am there. Therefore, these all belong to the mind, these all belong to the buddhi, they don't belong to me. The dukkha doesn't belong to me. Finished. Now, what is nididhyasana here? Let's take that verse. How to do viparita bhavana nivritti and sadbhavana pravritti, let us say, holding on to the sadbhavana. How do we do that? That Let us say we have had the interaction with our boss. For so many years we have been having interaction, and it's in a very, very, very nice terms, good terms, friendly terms. But then there is some period of, let's say, misunderstanding, and something we have as exchange that leaves a deep feeling of hurt. And I know that I am hurt. Let's say a close friend I am meeting after a long period of time, and he blames me for something. Nandakumar, you are having this as the motive in that action. And I genuinely feel I don't have that as motive. Therefore, there is a hurt, deep hurt is there. What the Acharya says, the hurt, the dukkha, is only to the buddhi. And how is it proved? When the buddhi is not there in deep sleep, was the dukkha, the friend has told like this? Was it there? It was not there. So, sondamavai bundikke. All the dukkha's belong only to the buddhi. So, what we should do in the sadhana, in the nididhyasana, what we should do? Just like in Atma Vichara, we should ask, for whom is this thought? The thought is for me, who am I? Isn't it? In the same way, we should ask, for which portion of me is this dukkha? Then it will come as manas. The mind will be running. He should not have told like all these people are like this. I should take it out of the heart. One should see that this dukkha belongs to the buddhi. And the cause of it should not be taken to something outside. Then what will happen? We will superimpose it on that, and the mind will keep running in its routine. After all these years, the friend has told like this, hereafter I should not meet him at all. All those thoughts will be running because there is dukkha, there is pain. The mind is just running. But then what the Acharya is saying, don't run like that. Don't allow the viparita bhavana to be there. Hold the dukkha. The pain is there. Hold the dukkha, but understand it is for the buddhi. It is not for me. Sondamavai bundikke. So hold it. Inquire the person, for which part of me is the dukkha? It is for the buddhi. But I am the buddhi? I am not the buddhi. Aham brahmasmi. I am not the mind. I am Brahman. I am not mind. I am Brahman. I am not the mind. I am Brahman. Even better, to remove the emotional content of the dukkha, we can say, I am not the breath, and merely observe the breath. You can already see the dukkha coming down. Nothing, the person has not gone and said anything. Yeah, you have not said anything. Just observing the breath, there is heart is full of dukkha. Like, why did he say like this? Like that, the dukkha is there. But you start observing the breath. Content, I am not the breath. So let us observe the breath. The dukkha is already reducing. Now, if it were really to be caused by the other or by some event, then it should not reduce, isn't it? It is self-caused. It is self-caused by identity with the buddhi. But I am not the buddhi. The nididhyasana is, I am not the buddhi. Aham brahmasmi. So the three steps are, whenever some event happens and reflects as either concerning the body, it could be concerning the body. That, let's say you have had too much sweets during the Ganesha Haba, and that thought comes that I have had too much sweets during the Ganesha Haba. Then the body, the leg, let us say, it is getting numb. The feet are getting numb. What should one inquire? The numbness is for whom? Is for the body. But am I the body? I am not the body. Aham Brahma. So the thought which is concerned with the numbness in the feet, which will immediately run. Oh, this is indicating that the sugar levels have gone up. Therefore, that will happen. This will happen. All that, like the Shastri Mama says, That is only for the leg. But you are not the leg. Was the body there? You were there, but the body was not there. You were there, the breath was not there. You were there, the mind was not there. You were there, the intellect was not there. You were there, the ahankara was also not there. Therefore, hold the aham brahmasmi, deleting all this. That is nididhyasana. So that is what is going to be given the 37th verse directly. Up to 37th verse, the bhavana nivritti is done along with sadbhavana pravritti. The sadbhavana pravritti, I have coined it. It could coin better. You can look it up because, as is clear, Sanskrit is not my forte. But then the idea is you have to hold the upadesha of the great one now directly in first person. All these were 240 are in first person. You are going to tell. So let us see the 37th verse. நிரந்தரம் இவ்வாறு நிகழ்த்தப்படும பிரம்மனே யானாவர் என்னும் உறுதி அழிக்கும் அறியா அலைவுகளை நோய் ஒழிக்கும் ரசாயன போக்கு. நிரந்தரம் இவ்வாறு நிகழ்த்தப்படும பிரம்மமே யானாவர் என்னும். So up to now, up to 36, I am not this, I am Brahman was allowed. But now, oh God, the thoughts have stopped arising. In Atma-vichara, the thoughts are not arising, but still some deficiency is there, some discontent is there. There we can, with the bhava bala, directly hold the I. Similarly, the viparita bhavanas are all body, let it be. The acidity is coming at wrong time, or let it be. What is there? Udasinaya namaha. The viparita bhavanas are all deleted. That is not me. I am not the deha. I am not the, because deha related thoughts, prana related thoughts, related thoughts, buddhi related thoughts, and ignorance related thoughts. Of course, the I, root I. If you look at it, the 4 verses in Ulladhanapadu, where Bhagavan shifts the focus and God to the I, to the ego, that is the bhavana nivritti for us. We feel that the problem is either in the world or in the grace not being there. We will either think of what should we do in the world or how to appease God so that the grace is received. But the problem is that you are identifying with the Panchakoshas. Bhagavan will shift that. So the more we meditate on that, the Viparita Bhavana about the other things will go away and one will be able to hold the Brahma Bhavana directly. Nirandaram, how to hold that? We have to hold it Ajyadharaya Srotasasana. The Aham Brahmasmi or the Brahma Bhavana. Now, the Viparita Bhavanas are not there. There is no thought regarding the Annamaya Kosha, the Pranamaya Kosha, the Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. There are no thoughts. What does Bhagavan mean by saying that this Nididhyasana is helpful? What does it mean? Namudalen rendin ala, Namaduvan rendumadu, Namaduvai nirpadarka natrunaya. He says, for us to be the Brahman, it is a help, he says. How can the holding of an object be a help? Bhagavan is asked yesterday, because this is what time and again, what need comes automatically by the self arranging everything, the Atma Shakti arranging everything. She had asked a doubt in the letter number 52 and 53. Letter number 52, we just went over, and that was about Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad saying that We think we are eating food, but it is food that is eating us. The quotation from Taittiriya Upanishad is, we think, those who think that they are eating food, they end up being eaten up by food. And that Bhagavan overcomes in bhakti by saying, Sapadunni Sarandunavaya Shantamai Povar Arunachala. So what is the connection with the Nididhyasana? Very interesting. See, so far as we identify with the body, we feel we are eating food. But we have already seen many a time from the scientific information that we are gathering that this body is in constant interchange with the earth. 7% of is newly received, 7% of the body is exchanged. 2 weeks, 95% of the body is with the earth. Practically, this is earth. Practically, this is the Annamaya Kosha. The Annamaya. If you identify with this, then you are eaten up by that Annam, by the earth. The earth will eat it up. So, the dhyana given by Taittiriya Upanishad is interesting. Instead of identifying with Kosha, identify with Annam. Ahamannam, ahamannam, ahamannam. That's what happens. Your only activity is to give another. You remain the Annamaya by giving another. What you eat, you have no consequence. You are there. You are the earth. You are the Annapurneshwari. Your only job is to give. The more you give, the more you exist. That is why the confusing statement, the more you give, the more you have, is made, which defeats the mind. But then Bhagavan, he goes to the ultimate. In his hands, he goes to the Parabrahman. He goes to silence. When Bhagavan is asked, what is the meaning of this? That when we say that the food, I get eaten up by the food, the meaning, Bhagavan goes into Mauna. In that Mauna, the Annamaya, Madhumaya, Jnanamaya, and the Ahamkara are all consumed by the Brahman, and the words relating to those koshas are also consumed. Bhagavan actually does everything and reveals that this is relative to the body. But what about to the breath? Becomes the Anna. So the breathing and breathing out, if you consider it as consuming, then the real Anna is there. If you take Manomaya, engineering qualification, if you get those thoughts as yours, then you will get eaten up by all the fields that are there. The manas will, your ego content will get dispersed in the knowledge. In each of those areas, in each of those koshas, if you identify with a few, eaten up by the world. Whereas then by giving. But then all those koshas and all those worlds are observed in the Brahman, in the Atma Swarupa. There is no Annamaya Kosha, there is no world of Annamaya Kosha. There is no Pranamaya Kosha, there is no Gandharva Loka. There is no Manomaya Kosha, there are no relative worlds. Only the Aham Brahmasmi, Aham 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 Niti Sakshat, Atma Rupena Dhati is there. There, all the koshas, all the lokas are consumed. So Bhagavan, when he is asked what is the meaning that you will be eaten up by the Annam, what does it mean? It goes to the highest Annam, which is Brahman. That is why it is said Annam Brahma. And that Brahman eats up everything. Bhagavan actually does it. Then some other devotee comes to the aid of the questioner and explains something similar to what I have tried to, but then it is unexplainable. How the whole will consume the part is not explainable, because that to explain you need the mind, isn't it? So if I feel I have explained it adequately, I will be eaten up by that. Whereas if I understand it cannot be explained, and remain with the subdued ego in the source, then I consume everything. Therefore, when you are identified with the limited, Anma bodham, to think that I am that is helpful. To think that I am that Brahman is helpful, because you clearly understand. You clearly understand that for that consciousness which has consumed all the lokas. You are not a limited consciousness, but by various things, by Anusha requirement, by Pranamaya Kosha requirement. But I don't have that knowledge. I am not a good person. I am an extremely good person. All these are buffeting the I. And the I itself has to be absorbed in the Brahman. There, the Brahman is the Ahamannam, and that consumes everything. So far as you are identifying the limited body, it makes sense to identify with Annapurna, identify with the whole prana. That Nididhyasana makes sense. And we see many devotees doing the Parayana of Arunachal Panchakam, Ramanacentre Panchakam. They move towards the Brahman. That Nididhyasana of holding the Satchitta. Who is Arunachala? In Ashtakam Bhagavat, Arunachala is Satchit, Irundulir. So when you meditate on the Irundulir, when you meditate on the Satchit, the movement towards the whole and deleting part. That's why Bhagavan says the Nididhyasana is helpful. But the Nididhyasana, if you don't even raise and identify with the body, Namudal trending. Only body, Nididhyasana is helpful. Identify with the erase it. Nirantaram ivar nigaltuppadum Brahmavan ennum urudi. That further, that Nididhyasana, Alikkum Ariyamai. It will erase the ignorance body. In what way? Rasayanam noigal vadikum muktu. In those days, there is some medicine called as rasayanam, which is actually very nice to taste and very smooth in its processing in the stomach. There will be some medicines which are hard on the stomach, and you will have to take Pandy or some acidity control drug along with the other drug. Whereas Rasayanam is that it is very smooth on the digestive system, it is very tasty, and it removes the noise, it removes the, like that the Aham Brahmasmi, even the path is happiness. Because what happens when you do Nididhyasana? Is there dukkha? The friend saying something, the boss saying something, I was unnecessarily holding on, it was self-created, it was the value I gave towards that, and that is not there if I am not identifying with it. I am not the Buddhi, Aham Brahma. That clarity, Viparita Bhava, Nivarti, I am not the Buddhi. Why should I think of these thoughts? Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. Again, that thought of pain comes. I am not the Buddhi, Aham Brahmasmi. Then slowly, the need to Viparita Bhava Nivriti goes away. One is able to directly hold with firmness the Aham Brahmasmi, which we saw is the Ahamannam. Ahamannam is the Brahma Bhava. Therefore, even the root is happiness. Just like the Rasayana happily removes the illness, this Brahma Bhavana, it removes the ignorance. The root is also happy, the end is eternal happiness. And that is how this verse ends. Nirandaram ivar nigaltappadum av brahmameyanavaninam murudi alikkum ariyamai alayvugalai noigal olikkum rasayanam muttu. All the sorrows related to ignorance and ignorance itself will be removed. How that bhavana will be erased? Because it takes you to the limitless. When the ego, the final ignorance is removed, then the Brahman alone is there is no requirement for the Brahma Bhavana. When the ignorance is completely erased, when the Ajnana is erased, then Kataka Renuva, like the impurities in the water, are removed by the alum, and the alum is also removed. When the ignorance that I am this body is removed, there is no need for the Brahma Bhavana. Aham, 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 aham. The Akanda Akara Brahma Vritti is there. It rises and consumes. Like the Atma Shakti consumed Bhagavan. Bhagavan says in Day by Day, which we are reading in the morning satsang, he says, in Madurai home, when I inquired, what is it that dies? And stilled the body, stilled the prana, stilled the mind. Then the Atma Shakti, Aham, Aham, it rose and consumed. Call it anything, he says. Call it Ishvara. Call it Ambikai. Call it Parvati. Call it Shakti. Call it Atma Shakti. Call it Ishvara. Call it anything, he says. But that is really there. The Aham, Aham, Akanda Akara, Atma Vritti, it rises and consumes me. From that moment, I never lost it, he says. That I am that. I am one with the Brahman. I am that Brahman was never lost. Even when the body was acting, even when the body was speaking, writing, walking, how will the truth go? These are all false anyway. How can false affect the truth? So once the truth is abided in, it is sahaja nishta. It becomes natural. That is like, do we have to keep saying, I am man, he says. So the aham, 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 it goes on naturally as one's very swarupa. And all ajnana has been removed. It is like that rasayanam, he says. The sadhana of Brahma Bhavana is like rasayanam. So Viparita Bhavana Nivritti is also crossed. Direct Brahma Bhavana is there. And Ajnana Nivritti is the removal of the necessity toward Brahma Bhavana. One, the Atma Shakti raises and consumes whatever is there. It consumes not only you, whatever was yours is also consumed. And the Aham, 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 that alone is there. So aiming for 4, we have done 1 word. Anyway, that is all. The Atma Shakti is Icha for any of us. When the ego itself is not there, how to have Icha about any of these. So let us sit in Atma Vichara till 8 o'clock when we will listen to Sakha. Ujjwalji, you can set the time for us.
Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as a self in all beings, by the immense grace of the self, manifest as Ramana, we are able to meditate on his teachings and also to practice the same. To do the Nididhyasana, we have been so blessed to be able to practice the self-enquiry at the end of every session. And today we were taken in such a simple manner, which I would say even a child could understand the significance and the difference first between Mananam and Nididhyasanam was brought home to us. Mananam is at the thought and the second person level, where we get the Upadesha, we understand the same truth, and we may even speak that truth. We may say, this is what it is. I am not the body, we may say. But in Nididhyasana, we are trying to put that into practice. We are trying to experience that for ourselves. So that is the stage of Nididhyasana. In chapter 4 of Ramana Gita, Ganapati Muni asks Bhagavan about what is the nature of jnana. That is the title of the chapter. And he says, see, aham brahmasmiti vritti kim jnanam muni kunjara. He says, this thought, aham brahmasmi, he calls it a vritti, muni, in the question itself. Is it jnana? Is the thought, aham brahmasmi, is it jnana? So Bhagavan says, no, it is not jnana, but it will help. It is an aid, which is the verse from Ulladu Narpadu, which was enunciated for us today to bring out the difference between the Anubhava and the support for the Anubhava. But supports are supports. So, again in the chapter on self-enquiry in Ramana Gita, Karshni asks Bhagavan, supposing one is ready for self-enquiry, should one take supports? In fact, the supports which he mentions over there are not even this kind of aham brahmasmi supports. Karshni mentions snanam, sandhya, japa, homa, swadhyaya, etc., etc. So many supports are there. So many good deeds are there. So many prescribed good deeds are there. So many things are there. For one who is ready for self-enquiry, are all these a waste of time? Then Bhagavan says, no. For a beginner of self-enquiry, they act as supports. And why do they accept supports? Because at least whenever you are engaged in doing something good with the body or with the mind, you are not engaged in doing something wrong, says Bhagavan. So when one is doing this dhyana, then one is engaged in the best kind of concept. But Muni continues in chapter 4. So if all this is vritti, if all this is thought, then how is one to reach the self? Can thought comprehend the self? Can thought reach the self? Can the mind reach the self? Then Bhagavan says, when thought seeks to comprehend the self. So when we ask ourselves, who am I? When this thought, though that's also a thought, when it seeks to comprehend itself, Bhagavan says, it gets swallowed up by that self. It becomes that very self. It remains as that very self. So that is the the point of getting swallowed was also mentioned by Nandakumar ji. There is a small, a sort of a parable which N.R. Krishnamurti Iyer, who was another of those great devotees of Bhagavan, he has done Akshara Manamale as a japa, meaning to say, we may repeat the name Ramana 100 times in a day. So he would treat Aksharavanamale as one nama and he would keep on repeating it throughout the day. So that N.R. Krishnamurti Iyer, he just made a parable. He said there was this man who was very, very hungry and he went and asked someone, I'm hungry, please give me something to eat. That man told him, wait. I've just sown the seed, it will come, it will reap, and then I will give you the food once the harvest is reaped. How can I wait for so long? I am hungry. And then he went to another man. That man said, no, I have reaped the harvest, but I am yet to take the grain from the chaff. I have to separate the grain from the chaff. After that, I will cook the food for you. He said, no, I can't wait for that long also. Then he went to a third person. That man said, oh, don't worry, I have kept the food. I already separated the grain from the chaff. I already put the rice to cook. It will take some time to get cooked and then it will take a little more time to get cooled because one can't eat it as soon as it is cooked. And then you can have your food. And this man said, I am too hungry even to wait for that. And then as he was going on in search of somebody who could give him food, he saw a mountain and he saw an old person sitting under the mountain with a leaf plate spread out in front of him, heaped with rice and ready to be eaten. And he says, so this man ran towards that, and as he started eating, in N.R. Krishnamurti's story, the rice on the leaf plate grew and grew and ate him up, which is what he says, Annam eats us up. This is the divine Annam, this is the divine Brahman. So when one turns within, when one thinks Aham Brahmasmi, that becomes a support. Why does it become a support is also said, because in the Veda, it is said that which you think of, you become. That is called a Brahmarakita Nyaya. If you keep thinking Aham Brahmasmi, if it becomes, one remains as that itself. So that is how that concept is used. But here, Nandakumar ji has linked it for us with self-enquiry very beautifully, that instead of thinking Aham Brahmasmi, when one recognizes that, one gets back into the silence. One gets back into the truth. That is the Nididhyasana, the reminder. The Aham Brahmasmi becomes only the reminder. The Nididhyasana becomes the reminder. Like we have the incident of Jackie, the dog, who is said to be a great meditator. He would always be looking at Bhagavan, gazing into Bhagavan's eyes. Apparently, sometimes he closed his eyes and meditated also sitting in front of Bhagavan. This incident is reported, I think, by Krishna Bhikshu or perhaps Annamalai Swami, that they were all sitting near the well and Jackie was also there, Bhagavan was there, and Jackie was meditating, and suddenly he heard some dogs, stray dogs barking from outside, and he got disturbed by them. And then Bhagavan, he started looking at those dogs, and perhaps he also started barking. And then Bhagavan told him, Jackie, you are getting disturbed because you are looking at that object, at those objects. You close your eyes. And that is Bhagavan's word. What does it mean? He obviously, when Jackie closed his eyes, he could have still heard the barking of the dogs, but he took the full sense of Bhagavan's words that closing one's eyes means closing all the attention to objects. He literally closed his eyes and he went back into his meditation. So that became Bhagavan's statement, you close your eyes, became the big support for him to turn back. We hear other incidents also of similar kind where it is said that when some monkeys were sitting in silence in front of Bhagavan, even if one of them moved a little, Bhagavan would say, Yenda Rajyam Kollapurdu, what kingdom are you losing? Now, how much is the support of Nididhyasana in our lives when we, all these incidents, they become our supports, just like Aham Brahmasmi. So, whenever the mind goes towards an object, one remembers this incident of Jackie also and remembers, why should I pay attention to this object? Why should I see this object? Why should I see this object? Allow this thought to rise up in me as an object which I see. Who am I? So, when I turn, only if I see this object, Bhagavan says, only if you pay attention to the thought, it remains. So, this becomes a beautiful statement for us to meditate on in Nididhyasana. Every one of this, because I am not that thought, I am not that thought, I am not that buddhi. So, who am I? Who am I? One may say to oneself, Aham Brahmasmi. One need not say, of course, because at one point one recognizes that even to say Aham Brahmasmi, one has to remain as a separate entity. So, who is the one who is saying Aham Brahmasmi? Who is that separate entity? That Aham Brahmasmi leads us to that. So, Bhagavan would tell those monkeys if they got disturbed, Yenda Rajyam Kollapordu. What is the kingdom you are losing? So, very often that also comes back to us like, oh, what is the kingdom? What is the kingdom I am searching for? What is my true nature? It is the Supreme Self, Aham Brahmasmi, the Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram, Aham Aham iti Sakshat Atma Rupena Bhati, to quote Venkateshji's favorite verse. Aham Aham iti Sakshat, that is there. That is the one. So, the beautiful transition which Nandakumar ji has taken us through in such a, as I said, in a very, very fluid, very simple manner, in such a way that we don't forget it at all, with all those homely incidents which he has quoted, and reminding us also of Shastri Mama's experience that, yes, one is not the body, that is the Nididhyasana. He has taken us back to the core, emphasized again the core through the great grace of Bhagavan, and all these supports Bhagavan gives us for what? Supports are for abiding in the self. Abiding in the self, only if one moves away from it. Only if one moves away, one has to take a support. Better not to move away. If that is possible, maybe possible by Bhagavan's grace, it is to give us that kingdom, as Sadhguru Swami says, it is to take us into that kingdom of his own bliss, that Bhagavan is with us every moment in this journey. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana. Namo Ramana sir.